What up? What up? What up? It's your boy JB coming at you live and direct, man. And y'all know what it is. It's the Smoke Something, Drink Something podcast. I'm the Real Cigar Jeff. You can find me on Instagram at the Real Cigar Jeff. You can find me on Facebook at the Smoke Something, Drink Something podcast. And of course, if you watching this on YouTube, man, do me a favor. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Turn on these bells for notifications. And of course, give us your comments in the comment section below. And for all of y'all who want some of my exclusive content, man, head on over there to my Patreon page for my Get the Bag series. And man, y'all know we about to drop another banger. But before I get into what the topic is going to be today, I got to introduce my esteemed panel. Y'all know who I got first, man. The latest addition, who has engrafted himself, been baptized into the hometown hookup edition. I gotta let him introduce himself and tell y'all where y'all can find him on the socials.
You know what it is. It's Big J the Barber, one and only owner of Razor's Edge Barbershop located in Tampa, Florida. You can find me on the socials at Instagram, Big J the Barber, BIGJAYTHEBARBER. And there you go.
Big J, you gonna tell them what your YouTube channel is with the barbershop?
Oh, sure. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, your boy did something on YouTube. I guess y'all can find me on YouTube as well. You know, I went ahead and posted a little something nice and neat on that. So the YouTube channel is Big J the Barber as well. So it's all the socials are just the same. Big J the Barber, no copycats. If they do, it ain't me.
Hey, what you drinking? What you drinking on tonight, Jay?
Oh Lord, you really don't want to know today what I'm drinking on. I'll show you right quick.
Oh boy.
I don't know what that is. Ain't got no label.
I said Mason jar.
I know, right?
That moonshine?
Your boy got colonoscopy tomorrow.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. That brings a different meaning to the Smoke Something, Drink Something podcast.
Hope you make it.
Man,
so it's the kit to go ahead and get me releasing.
Yeah. We're going to hear it finish so you can go ahead and start drinking it. Man, you know how it is, man. Big J, we appreciate you being on. We appreciate you being on, man. As always, man, it's good to have you. It's good to have you on, Jay, as always. Yes. And y'all know who we got next, man. Unfortunately, but he's available, and the best ability is availability. It's the resident antagonist. It's the people's champ. I'm going to let him introduce himself. Tell y'all where y'all can find him on his socials, what he's smoking on and what he's drinking on tonight.
What's going on? It's your boy TLC. You can always find me on Instagram at TLClay1. Tonight, I'm back to the Sam Adams Cold Snap. That's what I'm sipping on. And I'm smoking on the Romeo and Julieta, the 1875 stick. So,
good stick.
Yeah.
Good stick, man. Y'all make sure y'all go follow that man on social media, man. I just reposted on my story his stand-up, bro. He nailed it on the stand-up again.
Appreciate
because of this podcast. Because of this podcast, he actually getting better at life.
Oh my goodness.
So it's important. It's important y'all go over there and support him. And y'all know we got to give him a applause for being here. Yeah, that's all. All right, and y'all know who we got last. My A1 from day one. Had to bring her on, man. Look, y'all know how it is, man. I'm gonna let her introduce herself. She don't need much introduction, but I'm gonna let her introduce herself. Tell y'all what she's drinking on and where y'all can find that on the social.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your girl. You know who it is, Rhonda. You can find me on Instagram at RMBLMBT. And since I didn't get the memo that we were wearing some merch today, I'm sipping on my apple mule out of my Smoke Something, Drink Something.
Oh, I see the Smoke Something, Drink Something pint glass. Okay. All right. And that hospital straw.
Yeah, JB. I'm like, I'm really everyday seeing you, and I don't even got one of those. What's up with that?
I don't look. Hey, Jay, I don't have one either.
I had to order mine.
Man, Ronnie, you know we appreciate you coming on as always. As always, good to have you on the panel, man. Y'all make sure y'all go follow these guys on the socials, man. And y'all know I'm sipping on my little Stoli Blue Mule that I got to get rid of, and I'm smoking on my little Maduro Odyssey, getting rid of my bundle, man. So tonight gonna be one of those topics, man. And trust me, man, I hear y'all. I know y'all want me to get into the topic earlier. I know y'all want to get into this meat earlier. But man, it's when you find good panelists, you got to give them the time to remind y'all on who they are. I got some good panelists who giving y'all some good meat. And y'all ain't got to do tithes and offerings for this. We giving y'all some good stuff. So I at least got to let them introduce themselves. And man, we going to get to the topic. But this one tonight is serious. We've been holding on to this one. Hope y'all had a good resurrection weekend. Happy Easter. I don't know what y'all call it now. You know, it keep getting changed. But whatever y'all celebrated last week, I hope y'all had a good weekend. The panelists was off last week. But boy, today's topic, why toxic relationships are the best relationships. And Big J, I got to come to you first, man. Let me know what you thought when you first heard the topic.
Oh man, first a lot of things went through my mind because you already know how many toxic relationships I done been through or seen. So at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I want to know where JB is going with this because I sure as heck don't want to be in no toxic relationship, but I sure do understand why some people choose to be in toxic relationships. And ever since I went ahead and mentioned this topic at the barbershop, oh my goodness, you should see how many females or single moms that came in and said, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to see this one, Big J. So I was like, all right, we gonna get it popping.
We gonna get it popping in here. Big TLC, when you got the topic, what's the first thing that came to your mind?
The spice of life. You know what? Nobody wants to be bored. Let's be honest. You deal with toxic people and all their drama because it's exciting to you. That's what it is.
Okay. I like that, TLC. That's a good take. We're gonna hop on that. We're gonna hop on that component. Rhonda, when you heard it, Rhonda, what was the direction you thought about taking?
Well, with a lot of these relationship type podcasts that we do, I'm like, oh hell, here we go. But it's gonna be a good one. But then my thoughts were like, you know what? Where would we be without toxic relationships? And so I think this is gonna be a really good one tonight. Good conversation and just seeing because I think it's an escape. It's an escape from dealing with yourself. You got those toxic relationships going on. Back to you, JB.
Man, and look, that's the whole premise of this thing, right? We don't understand. The reason why I wanted to do why toxic relationships are the best relationships, and this is really going to be a roundtable. I'm just going to lay out some of the things I wrote down for y'all, though. Since Big Jaden came on the podcast and TLC been stepping his game up, I said, all right, you know what? I got to start writing down stuff. I got to start prepping because see, Rhonda can flow with me either way. But I said these boys bringing the heat. I said I got to write me some notes. But I just want to go over some quick notes and then we're gonna get into it. Right? Toxic relationships are not just intimate relationships. Right? We got family toxicity, professional toxicity, friendship toxicity, social club toxicity, political toxicity. Now, I want you guys to think about this. I wrote down a couple things, and then I want to just flow on this for the rest of the time that we got. Toxicity is simply flesh-based attraction that contradicts logic, but it makes the best stories. You never hear anyone bragging about a non-toxic relationship. You ain't gonna never hear anybody bragging about a non-toxic relationship. If you are not getting invited anywhere as a couple, it's because you're toxic. We are trying to make logic adjust. But logic never adjusts, and that's why relationships become toxic. Logic never adjusts. You always have to adjust to logic. Logic never adjusts. Toxicity thinks that it's gonna make logic change, but toxicity never makes logic change. We don't want to see the Whitney Houston movie because it didn't have enough Bobby Brown in it. We only want to go see New Edition because of Bobby, right? Toxic relationships make life worth living. And they also are like labor pains. They lead to new birth if you walk away. Toxic relationships are necessary because most of us don't learn from advice. We have to always go through the lines then to learn everything. And toxicity does not mean physical abuse. Toxicity means people who quarrel as a way to keep the relationship interested. And that's why I like what TLC said. Because what's that song? What does he say? What good boys ain't no fun and bad girls ain't no good and good girls ain't no fun or some stuff like that. I can't remember how it goes.
No, it's right. It's right.
It's Wale, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that, Big J. When you hear me say those things, and let's kind of talk about what TLC said since he brought that up, which is it's the spice of life. let's talk about the spice of life component. What do you think about that, Jay, when you hear it?
Oh man, the spice of life component. What I think about it is sometimes you see these Instagram models or these females that look pretty nice and curvaceous. You know what I mean? You know, 9 times out of 10, they toxic as you know what. You know what I mean? Because they get so much attention. So they crave attention. And whenever you don't give them that type of attention, then they feel as if you're not interested or interested enough. So it's kind of like sometimes the negative attention that they gain off of someone that wants to chase them around and do certain things or you know, certain sexual activities, you know, that go behind closed doors. The spice of life is what TLC said is like, man, some, I can't say everyone, but some people crave for that. It's like an adrenaline rush. Like, you know, the dopamine inside of them, it just gets like so amped up when they have certain type of individuals act a certain way. It may be from what they've seen or been through in life, or maybe what they've seen their mom went through before, or anything to do with that. But it just seems like some people crave for that attention.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, Jay, because in essence, guys, what we're dealing with when TLC says the spice of life, and TLC, I want you to jump in there. That's why some of you guys, if you're not working on anything in life, if you have no goals, no purpose, no plan, and a relationship was all you wanted, toxic relationship's the best relationship. You ain't gonna accomplish nothing else. Ain't nobody else gonna partner with you to do anything meaningful. So guess what? That toxic relationship is the only purpose you have. And so it's just like Jay. And here's the one thing Jay said about the here's the quickest way to find a toxic woman before I jump to TLC. All you got to do, like Jay said, is on their Instagram page. Ain't never nobody in it with them. Ain't nobody ever in it with them. And you know damn well that's the toxic right there. They ain't got nobody. It's just pictures of them. And if it's just pictures of them or pictures of them and their feet, whatever, right? They toxic. TLC, jump in there real fast. Let me know what you think about it.
To piggyback on what you and Jay said, you know, how many people look in the mirror and like their own reflection?
I do.
It's few though. It's few. Most people find something wrong.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, what's the hardest pill to swallow in life? The truth. So when you have a toxic person in your life, it takes all the focus off of you, and now you focusing on them. The problem's not me no more. Oh, I'm dealing with this person over here. They're crazy. It's them. But
I'm putting them on the altar. TLC. I'm praying for them. I've been taught to love them. If I love them, they'll get better.
And the more you focus on them, the less you have to focus on you.
And that's why for some of y'all, toxic relationships are going to be the best relationship. You know, here's the deal. The key to some of y'all's successful life is to find somebody worse off than you. Like, let's be honest. That's what some of y'all need to do. That's why some toxic relationships are the best relationship. This fool got you feeling successful.
You ever meet a girl and she's like, "Damn, you got a car?" You like, "Shit, I'm doing all right for myself."
TLC, man, this is a family-friendly podcast, man. I ain't got already.
The bar is so low though. Sometimes like, wow.
She said you got a call. Man, where the hell are you? Where are you hanging out at? Where girl, a while you got a
bus
call.
stop. But go ahead.
But that's one of the things. I like what you said, TLC, because for all the people who listening, what we telling y'all is, if you find yourself in a toxic relationship, you just let us know how you see you, but nobody wants to be alone. And the worse off you are in life, the least you want to be alone, because misery loves company. So when y'all hear me talk about toxic relationships are the best relationship, some of y'all ain't got no purpose. Some of y'all ain't got no plan. Some of y'all ain't got no idea where you want to go. That toxic relationship is going to be the only thing that gives you a sense of accomplishment. So stay in it. Don't try to go out here and be something that you're not. Some of y'all have been trained to go find somebody worse off than you. And that's why that toxic relationship is the best relationship you can get, because you don't know how to be with somebody who's going to elevate you. You only know how to be with somebody at your level or worse. So stop thinking you deserve more when you look in that mirror. TLC said, if you look in that mirror and you don't like what you see, you don't deserve anything but a toxic relationship. Pat yourself on the back, because at least you got something. Rhonda, jump in there. Let me know what you think.
Well, you know, it'll always be a toxic relationship, whether that's all the topics that you named earlier. when you out here in these streets for everybody. And when you out here for everybody, you deserve every toxic relationship you could have. But I'm going to take it to another level. I also believe sometimes as parents, they get so zoned in on their kids that that's even toxic for them, because that's the only relationship they feel like they could truly maintain, which is all about controlling. So when you said family, when you said all the other topics that you named, it all boils down to deflection and not agreeing with TLC, not liking what you see in the mirror and what you bring to the table. And God help you if somebody catches on that you don't even like yourself, let alone love yourself.
And Ron, I'm glad you said that. And that's why, for everybody listening to this, and the reason why people want to hear a topic like this, toxic relationships are just a reflection of the two of y'all. And I'll repeat it. And Jay, you know this because you always on social media posting motivational stuff, right? You post motivational stuff. Don't nobody like that, right? People just click right through that, right? When you trying to give somebody truth. And the reason why toxic relationships are the best relationships for some of y'all is because that's your peak. That's your peak. And a lot of us are struggling because we think it's a trial and tribulation that we're going through. No. The toxic relationship is by design. It's two people who don't have a purpose, plan, or clue. Two people who don't have an idea. If you ask them, hey, man, where you want to be in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, they can't answer it. So it's going to be a toxic relationship. A toxic relationship is getting in a car with no steering wheel, but it got a gas pedal and no brake, right? That's all it is. And you got to push the gas pedal, but you can't choose the direction. You can't choose when you're going to stop. Y'all are out of control because your life individually out of control. And now you've become a collective unit. And here's what happens. Don't beat yourself up because your relationship is trash. Mm. See, what I'm trying to look at, this is real people having real conversations. For some of y'all, toxic relationships are the best thing you can do. And what I want everybody to know on this podcast, the reason why I'm doing this topic is I'm here to support you in it. I ain't about to tell you to stop. But look, that's not what this podcast is going to be about tonight. The toxic relationship is a pat on the back for what your purpose in life is. Just like a non-toxic relationship. Couples who work toward something don't have toxic relationships. Couples who ain't got nothing to work toward have a toxic relationship. So for all the ladies that's going to be listening to this, for all the guys who are going to be listening to this, yeah, man, this chick toxic. Nah, this cat toxic. No. Like TLC said, look in the mirror. I'm toxic and like attracts like. Jake, jump in and let me know what you're thinking real fast.
No, seriously. Yeah, you're right. What you see in the mirror is what you get. What you put out is what you receive. Mm-hmm. And so one of those things is, people get into these relationships based on looks first. And then on top of that, they get on based on intimacy. So once they get into that and then they realize that that's it. Okay, this guy may look good or this girl may look good or this or vice versa. You know what I mean? And they realize, okay, well, what your 5-year goal is, and they don't have none. Okay, well, what you do for business? Oh, you don't work? Oh, wait a minute. You borrow your mom's car? Oh, wait a minute. What's going on here? It's like one of those.
On something about that car here.
No, seriously, because I wonder sometimes. Trust me, I've been through the ringer with hiring people for the business that I have, and it's just one of those things where I look and I'm like, man, wait a minute. Why are you with this individual? This individual is not supporting your dreams and your goals. Like, okay, now you got to go ahead and force this person to work, but then when you out there working, they waiting for you to get home so they can argue and beat you up.
Jay, and it's so funny you say that. It's so funny you say that it's all about physical attraction. At the root of toxicity, I've put physical attraction ahead of purpose.
Yep.
Okay. I put physical attraction ahead of purpose. And I think one of the things everybody got to kind of understand is, Jay talking about people he hiring. I hire people who going through the same thing, right? When you get home, if that person does not understand that you just spent 8 to 10 hours growing, why are they at your house? Right? Like, I ain't coming home to fight. You got people who sit in their driveway for an hour before they walk in their own house. Right? Because they're in a toxic relationship. Now, here's what happens, guys. we got to start recognizing that some of these toxic relationships are toxic and you can't see the symptoms, right? You can't see the symptoms. We talking about the toxic relationships like Bobby and Whitney, right? Like, what is it, Christian and Blueface or whatever, right? That's what most people think when it comes to toxic relationships, right?
Yeah.
You start seeing we looking for these symptoms. Like, how do I know you got a cold? I don't know you got a cold because you're walking around blowing your nose and coughing and sneezing. That's how I know you got a cold. So, Jay, I like what you just said. Because the physical component is trying to override the other deficiencies. And that's what makes that relationship toxic, right? But like I said, ain't nobody bragging about the logical relationship.
At all.
Nobody's ever called you and said, man, you know what? We just had a glass of wine and wrote out our business plan on what we're going to do next year. Nobody said, nobody pat you on the back. Nobody pat you on the back.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and matter of fact, if I call TLC and say, hey, man, just finished sitting down, had a real nice date, went out, man, wrote down a plan for the next 1 year. Fact, man, get the hell off the phone with me with that, man. I'm about to go down here to rock downtown Rob and see what's up with these hoes. That's what he can say. That's what he goes to the hoes.
No, well, I might just put the phone on mute, but you know.
Go ahead.
When you talk about the physical part, oh my gosh. So there's this thing I watch on YouTube from time to time because I just be surfing or whatever. They interview these pimps from like around America. And it was this pimp named, I think it was like Johnny Dollar or Dollar Money, something like that was his name. And he was like, they always ask the pimps, like, what life advice would you just give to anybody? And he was like, you got to ride out with the woman that chooses you. You can't choose the woman. And he was like, a man will go all the way across town just to find a woman that'll mean him no good when he can have a woman right next door that'll do anything for him. But he was like, that's life. He was like, not just in the pimp game, in life.
In the real game.
And I think about that, like, man, that's true. It's people look for enablers almost. That's the word that popped into my mind when you were talking about relationships and stuff. There's people who support you, and there's people who are enablers. And those are two separate things.
You just gave everybody a good example. I like that you used the pimp. Because all the pimp has done is the pimp understands the business side of a relationship of a person with no goals. All a pimp does is give a person purpose. That's all he does. Give them an assignment, give them purpose. That's all they do. Now, he does it in a way that's illegal. But what I'm saying to you is that you can take that same woman and she go crazy in the house, but with him, she feels like she has purpose. And one of the things, another reason why toxic relationships are the best relationships is because both of y'all are not leaders. So if one of y'all are not a leader, the relationship gonna be toxic. Toxicity just means that we're sitting here and there is no vision, there is no direction, there's no guidance, right? And so that's why the relationship is toxic. What the hell are we working on? Now I like what Jay said. We're not even talking about the physical component, and that's the root of the toxic relationship is that everything gets looked over because of the physical. Like they will, every time you call them, they going through something, but they ain't never complaining about the physical component.
Yep.
They ain't never complaining about the physical component. And when your relationship becomes a coping mechanism, again, congratulations. That's what a toxic relationship is. What I want some of y'all to know is the reason why toxic relationships are the best relationships is showing you that if you just did the opposite, you could have a non-toxic relationship. But in that non-toxic relationship, y'all not gonna be out there like the Wild Kingdom having crazy sex every minute. You just ain't gonna have it.
Oh, they too nice. They too nice.
Yes. Something right with them.
Look, you want Future, you want Russell Wilson, right? You want Future, you want to be going to the prison ministry with Russell Wilson, or you want to be with Future and his Gucci flip flop.
Yes.
Which one you want? You got to decide. You can decide which one you want. Up in there running.
No, it's the truth. And if people would be honest with themselves, they could turn that toxicity into something great if they really took the time to understand. But because we do get so wrapped up in the physical aspect of things and feeling stuff in your guts or whatever the case may be, whatever drives you, whatever drives you.
That's the Holy
hard
Spirit.
thing.
We ain't talking about the other. We ain't talking about the other stuff.
But it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to walk away from until it's not, because it could be great and then it's not. right? So then you'll find a reason to find something else to go to. But it's something intoxicating about toxicity.
Yes. Ron, now you hitting it, right? It's something intoxicating about toxicity. So the reason why they're the best relationships is because all a toxic relationship represents is you being compliant to what you've been taught. You're being compliant to what you saw in your development years. Mm-hmm. Just like we don't get taught to be rich. We get taught to be poor. We don't get taught to be rich. Y'all ever notice that when all these people telling you, man, do this so you can save $1 million, do this so you can have $10 million. Don't nobody ever tell you what to do once you get to 10 million. So now you just sitting in your house trying to figure out, man, I ain't got everybody else who ain't got 10 million working. Everybody I used to hang out with, they ain't got time to talk to me. Why did John Morant get in trouble, right? Who else in his crew got a $200 million contract? We don't get taught how to be rich. We get taught how to be poor. Okay. We don't get taught how to overachieve. We get taught how to be average and mediocre. Same thing with a relationship. We don't get taught how to do relationships. And so the reason why toxic relationships are the best relationships is showing that you can be compliant. You just learned the wrong thing. So when I got people who leave my business, when people disconnect from me, I just realized they're good at what they do, but they just got taught the wrong thing. And they believe it. They allow, with toxic relationships, the only way you know how to operate is based on your physical. You can't have a logical moment in your life. And so when Jay talks about the people he's hired in his barbershop, and I see them when they come in there, and it's just like, every time me and Jay go to lunch, I say, as soon as they get home, that shit what you just said gone, right? That would be said, right? And I tell Jay that all the time. But it's the same thing when I talk to one of my staff members and I leave out of there, man, I done preached the doors off. I done gave them a word. I done gave them some motivation. Soon as they come back the next day, ain't long before I got to fire them. Because that toxic relationship is going to make sure that everything you do is based on physical. So what does the person at home say? Oh, the only reason he told you that because he won't sleep with you. No, actually, I don't. I just want you to go make some tips, because if you're making some tips, I'm making some money. Okay? Like that's the correlation of this thing. But when you're in a toxic relationship, your problem is you process everything else in a toxicity manner. And you think everybody is out trying to get with you physically too, because the only thing you can comprehend is the physical. Jump in there, Jay. Let me know what you're thinking right now.
No, seriously, yeah. Everything they comprehend is the physical, and like you said, is people mimic what they see. So they repeat what they see. So it's just one of those things. Like, prime example, we had a conversation the other day in a barbershop, and I laughed. Misery loves company, and everybody likes toxic environments. Let's go off the realm of just relationships, but. What you mentioned earlier, that I post positive things and motivation stuff on my Instagram sometimes just to get people moving. And I get a couple views and a couple likes. But, boy, when I tell you I go on there and start cussing about the road rage that I'm feeling or man, I just had to fire this, and then going off. People like, oh, we tuning in. What's going on, Big J? What you got going on there?
They like it, and they text you. Hell, I'm one of them. Jay, what the hell going on, bro? I just saw your post.
Hey, so I had one of my barbers just tell me, like, hey, Jay, just don't even bother, man, because sometimes people take it wrong, right? So people notice that, man, what Big J straight? He ain't post nothing about going off, lately. So is he doing good? I'm like, geez, yeah, I'm doing good. The only time you want to see my Instagram post is when I'm just going off.
Yes.
Huh? Well, sure, I might have to give you something that you want.
Mm-hmm. And that's the whole point, right? We are so attracted to toxicity, right? And that's why what goes viral is something that's toxic, right? That's what goes viral. And when you learn that, man, I got to do that just to go viral. Yeah. And the reason why they can't sustain it is because once you go viral, now people start having logical conversations with you about business. And you like, well, now my creativity is gone because all my creativity is tied to toxicity.
Do you think the financial aspect as far as going viral plays into that? Just because I was watching, I don't know his name, Charleston White or whatever. He gets in all these crazy arguments with people. But then I found out how much money he makes off of that. And I'm like, oh, wow, this guy, he's doing it on purpose, like with intent. He's trying to be toxic. He wants to get those viewers in.
Because guess what, TLC? He's not like us over here having real people having real conversations. he decided that, look, I'm going to tell these fools they ignorant, they stupid. I'm going to tell it to them to their face, and they love it because that's what they can relate to. And that's why Charleston White making his money. That's why you see some of these people. That's why when Kevin Samuels died, you had people celebrating. When Andrew Tate got locked up, you had people celebrating. Another podcast we about to have is, why is masculinity under attack? Why is masculinity under attack? And the masculinity is under attack because toxicity is at a whole new level. The toxicity level is tied to why masculinity is under attack. And now all of a sudden, everybody's warring against one another instead of being compatible with one another. If I got an iPhone, I'm not going to buy a Galaxy tablet. If I got an iPhone, I'm going to buy an iPad, right? Then I'm going to buy my MacBook, right? And so one of the things you guys are going to find, everyone, we know we got your Galaxy. But what I'm saying to you is, you got the iPad too. You got the iPad too. But TLC, I like what you said, because guys, I think what we got to look at when we talk about this are people are being toxic on purpose. Your toxic relationship is not your toxic relationship. Shay, be careful with that thing. Your toxic relationship is not by accident. Your toxic relationship is on purpose. I remember what Charleston White said about Larsa Pippen. He said Michael Jordan's son sitting around here bragging off of his 2006 Mercedes-Benz S-Class with 200,000 miles on it. He said, you know what? If I saw 2006 S550 with 200,000 miles on it, man, yeah, that's a good car, man. I remember 2006. But I ain't expecting nobody to compliment me off of 2006 S-Class Mercedes in 2023. And it was just like, when he said it, and I'm just like, damn, okay. He's putting it out there, TLC, because he recognizes the only problem with toxic relationships, most of them don't want to change. They want you to come down to their level. Why Charleston White is making money is because Charleston White has come down to their level. Kevin Samuels was saying, y'all need to go find a high value man, do this, this, and this. Andrew Tate talking about masculinity, all this kind of stuff. And people are fighting it. Mm-hmm. Why? Because at the end of the day, people have only been taught toxicity. That's what they saw with their. Is that you, TLC?
Well, you know my neighborhood is
TLC, you stand
I live in a toxic neighborhood.
I thought it was a pit bull at first. I was like,
bro, you about to get a drive-by? Jesus.
I'm about to look through the blinds.
Oh my God. I'm like somebody that got behind the gate. Yeah, but I think what happens, guys, is that I'm glad Jay brought that up because, and TLC, I'm glad what you brought up, because one of the things, the reason why I'm telling people about toxic relationships being the best relationships, just stay over there though. Just stay over there, right? And so the toxic relationship, I tell people it's like a zoo. The toxic relationship ain't a problem till it leave outside of your house. Because then you wrote me in, and I think I'm helping you by giving you advice, giving you a job, giving you purpose, coaching you, trying to help you make money and all that. When in actuality, all you doing is get me off track. All you did was waste my time. And that's why I love going to the zoo, right? That's why I love going to the zoo. You ever notice that none of them animals trying to escape? if they open up the cage, none of them jokers try to escape. And what y'all got to look at your toxic relationship is confine it to your space. Now, here's the deal, right? Most people who have a dog and you can't put a fence up in your neighborhood, they have what they call an electric fence. Yeah, go ahead, TLC.
I think it's the opposite, though, of the zoo and the cage. I think people look for toxic relationships so they can escape. You look for something that's going to be a disaster, so you know at some point you can get out. You want something that's going to crash eventually.
No, TLC, you're not trying to escape. You go looking for places that confirm your belief.
Yeah.
You go looking for places that confirm your belief. Well, look, man, I call this a smoke something, drink something podcast, right? Man, why you got to be smoking on your podcast? Did you see the name? The name is smoke something, drink something podcast.
They love Jesus now. They love Jesus.
Right? They love Jesus. Don't tell me. Everybody who judging me love Jesus. How that work? Right? My point to you, TLC, is you ever notice in a zoo or whenever a person get attacked, when that whale at SeaWorld killed that lady, he ain't go running. He was like, you shouldn't have come in here. Right? When they open the cage to these zoos, they ain't trying to escape. They can kill somebody. They sit right there and wait for the tranquilizer dart. Right? Yeah. The problem with toxic relationships and the reason why toxic relationships are the best relationships, somebody like me, I have had to accept the fact that that's not my problem to fix. That's your problem to stay in. because that's your mountaintop. That's my valley. Okay. So the toxic relationship has to be segmented, TLC. Because think about it, right? Last night, the toxic relationship, they were all at the club. Right? And what are they fighting about? Why you looking at the bottle, girl? Why you let that girl rub up against you? Oh, why that dude looking at you like that? Why he hug you like that? Right?
Well,
all the stuff that's happening.
Let me ask you this, though. Let's say you don't have any toxic relationships in your life. You've gotten rid of it all. What's your life like now?
Well, let me say this to you. If you don't have any toxic relationships in your life, you got a toxic relationship. See, if you don't have nobody else in a toxic relationship, it's you.
So you gotta have somebody around. Is that why I'm on the podcast? That's why I'm on the podcast.
That's why you on the podcast, TLC. Everybody wondering, like, that ain't how he talking real life. Right? He ain't said where the hoes at yet on the podcast. But that's where I think if you look around and you can't find any toxic relationship, it's because you're the toxic relationship. And the reason why I say toxic relationships are the best relationships, guys, Daniel came out of the lion's den, right? Daniel came out of the lion's den. There, you can get out of it, but you can't want different things with the same people. Where you meet a person is where that person is anchored.
Yep. Okay.
That person is not going any higher. If I meet you in toxicity, I'm not going to meet you in the calm of the storm. You're not going to be able to understand it. Yeah. So every time I come home and it's calm, you're going to want to fight. Because if we're not toxic, how do I know you care about me?
Yep.
How do I know you care about me? So when you come home from a day of work and Jaden uplifted you and Jaden told you this and Jaden showed you a different concept, or TLC done just sold a house, or Rhonda done had somebody who none of the medications were working, but now the person can walk without a limp. They go home and they meet that person that's causing them all the problems. See, toxicity only works when both of y'all want it, though.
Yeah.
But logic only works when both of y'all want it, too. Rhonda, jump in there, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, but again, with toxicity being the driving force of, it's almost like you're trying to one up each other too. Like you're trying to make sure, like, oh, I got them to do this or I got them to do that. And when you talk about, that's why it's probably one of the worst things to do is to compare yourself, your relationships, and all that stuff to other people. Because at the end of the day, if someone is doing this for their man or whatever somebody may like done for them, and then they're gonna hear that and like, well, hell, my man don't do that and my woman don't do that, or whatever the case may be. Then they go home and create a toxic situation because I should be getting what you're getting. And it just turns into a whole other thing. And so, but again, it still boils down to not liking what TLC said in the mirror and deflecting what you know you got going on. And the worst toxic relationship is with yourself. And a lot of people are walking around with that, and then they are extending it outside of the house. Because they also need someone to tangle with. They need someone to dance with in their toxicity. Yeah.
And then they bring it to work.
Everywhere.
They bring it to work, right? They bring it to work. I had somebody call in sick. I had somebody call out. I'm having a personal problem. Okay. You can have a personal problem. Right, that's fine. I ain't even gonna fight you. Because what have they been taught? They've been taught that business and personal are separate. They've been taught personal is the most important thing. But let me snatch my money away from you and see how good personal life gonna go. Okay, I can tell you want some work-life balance. Let me give you all life, and watch how once that. Let me tell you this about toxicity. Toxicity means one person got the money and the other person don't. Yeah, and the person with the least amount of money is the most toxic. That's the best part about it, right? The person who out there working his ass off in a toxic relationship is always tied to somebody who at home ain't worth a damn, and that person who ain't worth a damn is so good at telling you shouldn't be worth a damn either. Right? Every time you say something good, man, F Jeff, man, FJ, F Ron, F TLC, right? That's right. That's what that I keep saying it. That loser you got at home, right? That loser you got at home is the most toxic. See, you toxic, but this person usurps your toxicity. That person at home that's more toxic than you, TLC, Boy, look, that Joker got more talent. Cause guess what? He's sitting at home, or she's sitting at home playing Xbox. Then got to the top level of Call of Duty while you at work, right? And TLC, every time I see your game and every time I see your headphones with the mic, that was the one thing I liked about that movie Kevin Hart and Ice Cube was in. When Kevin Hart was always playing Call of Duty or playing the I want to say it was Ride Along or something like that. Ride Along, and that dude was called Black Hammer. Right, he was called Black Hammer, right? And he used all that stuff to flush out Omar, and then everybody found out he wasn't real. But all he did was sit around and play video games. I want you guys to know that when we talk about toxic relationships being the best relationships, I want to make sure everybody understands this means toxic relationships are the best relationship for you. Don't try to sell it to anybody else. The problem with toxic relationships, and Jay, I'm gonna let you jump in there. Y'all try to bring that to everybody else, and that's when a toxic relationship becomes the problem. You've limited your success, which is great. That's why it's the best relationship for you. But don't come to me and try to make me think like you. Jay, jump in there. Let me know what you think.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you know they will. They're gonna try to make you think just like them for sure. Rhonda said something real on point too when it came to people always looking at other people's relationships and then trying to mimic what they see on someone. Well, so and so is doing this with their relationship. How come we ain't doing that? So I think that's depend on the frame of mind of an individual. That means that you need to find more of yourself instead of worry about someone else's relationship. And then when it comes to, the people that actually always want to include you into their toxic world, especially when you try to go ahead and give them advice or help them out or whatever, or remove them from a situation, 9 times out of 10, those individuals are fear of the unknown. So now they don't even know if they want to be removed from the situation or not.
They don't, Jay.
Yeah.
Jay, I'm going to say 10 out of 10 don't want to be removed.
At all.
They just want to dump their stuff on you so they can go back, because they've been taught to go vent so they can come back and deal with it some more. And I had to learn that the hard way. None of these people are trying to escape. I just said to y'all, go open a cage at the zoo. That giraffe ain't going nowhere. He's going to sit right there.
But
you
go in there and try to pet him, though.
You go in there and try to pet him, and what he going to do? Yeah, that gorilla, that monkey, that alligator pit, them crocodiles ain't bothering nobody. You go in there, and none of them try to escape after they kill you.
At all.
That's what I want you guys to understand. When you go to Animal Kingdom in Disney, them animals looking at you like, what y'all in here looking at us for? Like, dude, we over there like, man, that's a beautiful animal. The animal over there saying, why are these people here?
Yeah, we in our habitat.
Yeah, we in our habitat waiting for our 3 squares. Right? That's what happened. They don't want to go back. They don't want to go back to a different environment. They want to stay right there because it's comfortable.
Another example is people that are in and out of prison, right? And even for some parents with their kids who are in and out of jail and prison, sometimes they're like, at least I know where they are. They're getting 3 square meals a day. They got shelter, right? Yeah. Even though it's a toxic environment. And then it's just like those ones that's been in there forever and they finally get out, they always end up back in because it's a different adjustment. And let me have the toxicity that I know. Let me have that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Stop right there, Rhonda. You just preached. I hate to cut you off. You just preached. Your toxicity is your prison. Mm-hmm. So instead of making my relationship a prison or my business a prison, that's what I'm saying. Toxicity is the best relationship for your prison. You've confined yourself to a place without bars, right? The difference with prison is when I go to a prison, I know I'm on a prison. I know I'm on prison ground. I'm going to see some barbed wire. I'm going to see a fence. I'm going to see a tower. I'm going to see armed guards, right? When I walk in one door, the other door going to close, right? Rhonda, you just preached about that because our biggest problem is coming from where we came from. We got taught that they wanted to come out of that prison. And realistically, they don't. And I had to accept the fact that these toxic relationships are the best relationships for them. Because here I am doing a prison ministry and they don't want to leave prison. Right? They don't want to leave. When Russell Wilson and Sierra went and did that prison ministry thing, did nobody come to them and say, man, help me get out? Did none of them say, help me get out? They said, man, thank you for coming, man, making us feel better, lifting our spirits. Then none of them say, hey, man, look, I think I'm innocent. They frame me. None of that. Right? How many people, we look at Kim Kardashian getting people out of jail. We don't talk about how many people like, nah, man, I don't want to get out. She calls certain people. They like, nah, I'm good, man. I'm going to just stay in here. because I don't want to get out. What's waiting on me when I get out? And that's
Fear
why I
of
think
the
you're
unknown.
talking about the fear of the unknown, right? But here's the funny thing. The toxicity is the fear of the unknown. When I get out of toxicity, it's pretty known what's going to happen. If I do X, Y is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like if I do A, B is going to happen. Like that's the known. The reason I don't do toxic relationships is because I like what's known. Toxicity was good at one point. Cause you like, man, y'all know how to, man. Let me call this chick up, man. I hate to call her, but man, it's late in the evening.
Late in the evening.
And you know what's gonna pop. You know what you're gonna have to deal with though. When you in the 90s, right? We in the 90s, and it's just like, man, you looking back in the day, and then you starting to get late in the evening. What you say, TLC, on one of the previous podcasts? Used to be that bus. If one turned you down, that bus was coming again in 10 minutes.
The freak
Yes.
documentary just popped to my mind.
That Freaknik documentary gonna show you some real toxicity. You see they suing
But
to try
then
to keep it from coming
as
out.
being freaky as they were, expect their kids to be different.
Yeah, but see, they expect their kids to be different, right? And the reason I'm saying that to you, and I like what Jay said about the fear of the unknown, the toxic relationship is best for you because you're wired backwards, right? If you come out of your toxic relationship, it's the beauty of the known. The fear of the unknown is the toxic. You don't know what mood they're gonna be in when you get home. Y'all can't even go out to eat without fighting, right? You can't go out to eat, can't go to the club, but because the physical is on point, you're making excuses. And if the physical component is your number one driver, toxic relationships are the best relationship. TLC, jump in there. Let me know what you're thinking real fast.
Oh, I think you're right on that one. I mean, we say it's the excitement, but yeah, it is the unknown. You know what I'm saying?
To all the audience, TLC is texting his toxic chicks right now. Like, hey man, I'm finishing up this podcast. I'm finishing up
10
this
minutes.
podcast.
Give me 10 minutes.
Give me 10 minutes. Give me 10 minutes. I'm finishing up this lame ass podcast. What's the topic, TLC?
Don't worry about all that.
Man, this fool over here. Don't worry, this fool over here trying to be the love doctor.
TLC,
man.
you
Just
better
let us
not be
do
telling
what
them about my business.
That's why I say no names.
Yeah,
No names.
Jeff over here trying to act like he the love doctor. Give me 10 minutes. He's about to be finished with this thing. But what's going to happen is the reason why I'm doing this podcast like this for all y'all who are in a toxic relationship and for all of y'all who are not in a toxic relationship. The reason why I'm saying toxic relationships are the best relationships is don't change you if you don't know you. And some of y'all are in the best thing you can get. Don't go out here thinking that the relationship you in, because it's toxic, is bad. Because the worst thing you're going to do is go get with somebody who's not toxic and they just going to reject you. And that rejection going to hurt. Because once you meet somebody who's not tied to the physical and who's actually trying to accomplish something, you're going to feel real small when they sitting across from that dinner with you and you can't have a conversation because it ain't about anything physical.
Mm-hmm.
And we better. That's why, guys, when I'm talking to this panel, some of y'all have plateaued, and that's okay. Don't try to go. Look, guys, I can't go be a doctor, right? And if I went and sat down across from one, they gonna let me know pretty quick that I ain't a doctor, right? And again, same thing with Jay's profession, same thing with Rhonda's profession, same thing with TLC's profession. When you sit down across from somebody that you ain't qualified to be across the table from, ain't nothing worse than being dejected like that. And some of y'all just need to stay where y'all are and pat yourself on the back that I have reached my relationship plateau. Because until you work on yourself, here's what happens, right? We talk about fake it till you make it. We talk about speaking things by faith. You want to get out of that toxic relationship? Tell me what type of person you trying to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're going to say, I want somebody who's going to love me. Okay, what does love mean for you?
Mm-hmm.
What does love mean for you? Tell me what he gonna look like. Oh, he got to be 6'6". Okay, all right. Right? Like, here's the funny thing, right? She over here 5'2", he got to be 6'6", right? But they gonna still tell you everything physical.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why your toxic relationship is the best relationship, you cannot move beyond the physical. And all you do is sit on social media and watch movies and talk about couple goals. Oh, that's goals right there. I want to be like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Because if you can't sit across from what you want. You can't sit across from what you want. If you couldn't last 5 minutes with the man or the woman that you wanted, And that's why you see all these people creating toxic relationships, because if you're in a toxic relationship, you think somebody else need to change instead of
Well,
you.
the
Rhonda,
first
jump
thing
in there, let
that
me know what you
pops
think.
into my mind right then is that they're a fraud, and you can't sit across from
Mm-hmm.
somebody when you're requiring something that you know you can't even halfway give. So now here you are, fraud,
Mm-hmm.
wanting people to do all of this for you and be this for you and that for you, and you can't even be honest with yourself about your toxicity, other than I want you to be 6'6", making figures and whatever,
Yep.
and
I
you know,
always struck out.
and whatever else. Like, it's just, and so the fraud of it all is also very, very toxic.
And I'm gonna say this before I let Jay come in. I want y'all to realize too, if y'all listening to this, relationships are not work. Relationships are compatibility. I don't have to make my iPhone and iPad work. I don't have to make my MacBook and my iPad talk. It's built in. Relationships are not work. Marriage is not work. Dating is not work. Those are all signs of toxicity. If you got to, and guess what, guys? It don't need no prayer and no daily devotion either. I'm just telling you.
Why you messing up toxic relationships?
I'm gonna say this.
Why you messing up?
Look, let me tell you this. I'm telling them up front. Let me tell y'all this. I'll never forget when I got told, you'll never see the church having dating counseling. It's only marriage counseling. They ain't never got to counsel nobody who dating. Right? And it's just, I ain't never seen. Boy, that thing got me. And you never hear single people saying they want to go have a married night. But married people always talking about they want to go have a date night.
Date night, yeah.
Right? But that's the reason why I'm having this conversation about toxic relationships, because one of the things we got to do on this podcast is real people having real conversations. One of the pivots I'm making on this podcast is, if you want help, go to your therapist. Because we try to give it to y'all for free. Now I'm going to just tell y'all to stay in it. Because I'm going to be like Charleston White over here.
I can find this person.
Because TLC, Charleston White getting paid telling these people exactly. Man, he ain't trying to make you no success. He telling you, bruh, you suck. And he just giving it to him. He don't even care. And he's getting the most. He's one of the highest rated YouTube channels, Instagram channels, Facebook channels. And I think one of the things I'm trying to let you guys know is, you can't fix a relationship. Only the people who are in it can either escape it or decide this is just what we gonna be. And that's why I'm bringing up the analogy with the zoo. When they open up with, if there's a fence breach at a zoo, you don't ever see them running down I-4 or 95. I mean, that cow will come right to that electric fence, and even if ain't no power through it, he ain't coming out down that highway, right? Now, contrast that with a deer. Deer gonna jump out there right in front of you going 90 miles an hour, right? And so the perspective is, y'all got to understand, toxic relationships are by choice.
Absolutely.
Nobody forced them to be in it. That's why they're the best relationships for them. They're letting you know this is what I am, and this podcast, and these panelists are letting you know we're okay with that. Just stay over there with it, so that you don't make us toxic. Because y'all got to understand, toxicity is contagious. Mm-hmm. Toxicity is contagious if they come into your environment. You're not fixing them. They're changing you. Jay, give me your final topic, man. Give me your final takeaway before we get out of here for the evening.
No, you're right. That's why I make sure as soon as I see someone that has toxic traits, I move them out of my space.
Yep.
I just remember a time frame, I'll give you an example of one little relationship that I used to have. Everything else was good. The outer appearance was good. The whoop-de-whoop was good. You know what I mean? Everything was straight. Everything else was good. But it came to the point where this person didn't understand. This person was Caucasian, but she didn't understand the Spanish way of their culture. And every time we went to a club and I seen a Spanish female friend of mine, they normally kiss on the cheek, on the side or whatever. Yep. And they approach her and I say, hey, this is such and such, such and such. This is this person. And then she's like, mm-hmm. And then I'm like, okay, I'm in my mind, I'm like, I'm bringing you to the club so we can enjoy ourselves, we'll pop some bottles, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
man, all that is out the window because you worried about, well, who is that? You know what? They just gave you the,
Yes.
you know, you must have been bumping her, huh? And I'm like, wait a minute. So then I'll give you another example. That same person, I said, you know what? I don't want no problems. I don't want no issues. Let's go to the gym together. Let's work out. You know, I take it to the gym with me, same thing, you know, because she was swole too. And so it just came to the point where I get into the gym.
Swole too.
Yeah, she was swole. Yeah. Y'all already know when you're in that type of relationships, the person automatically assume what you like. So as soon as they see someone that they feel you attracted to, it automatically sends them an alert to look at that individual and then look at you. So mind you, I've been in a situation where she swear that I'm looking at somebody in the gym. But, you know, I'm aware of everything in my whereabouts. So I did it on purpose. I said, let me test the waters right quick, right? So I automatically seen someone that she thought was going to be someone that I would be interested in looking at. I literally put my head up, looked at the ceiling, and just worked out like this. And I swear, everything, she came right over like clockwork. It says, I seen you looking at that biscuit. Y'all know I'm you know, the other word, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But I'm just saying, you know, I seen you looking at that. And I was like, excuse me. I said, you know what's crazy? I literally was looking up the whole time to avoid this altercation in this fight. But I tell you what, just like Jeff said, it's time to get myself up out of here, retreat, retract, and just keep it moving because obviously this relationship is not for me.
Yep. And I want y'all to hear that. I want y'all to hear that. He said that relationship is not for him. Mm-hmm. Toxic relationships are specific to the people who are in it. Nobody's going to call you and ask you for counsel. If you're in a toxic relationship, ain't nobody calling you asking you for counsel. Just know that because we can do that without counseling.
Yeah, one more thing, Jeff.
Go ahead, Jay. Sorry about that.
What I found out in this situation is that when I valued self and noticed that I can come in unison with myself and not worry about, you know, if someone comes into my life as a bonus. So I just realized that when I got into my own apartment and own situation, I could look up at the ceiling fans and the walls won't argue back at me or whatever the case may be. When I finally realized that I'm good all by myself, then anyone else that comes into my life happens to be a bonus, and it actually works out for the non-toxic type of relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's a good takeaway. TLC, I hate you got to come behind that.
You know what? When Big J mentioned the gym, that's a whole scandalous.
And hold on, TLC, and for all the people out there listening, that was TLC's notifications going off because we told y'all he was texting all of his toxic ladies that the podcast was almost over. Go ahead, TLC.
I ain't gonna lie, I did get a what you doing. What you doing?
Yeah.
So we about to wrap this up, but
yeah.
The gym is scandalous. I don't know what now. I mean, man, you got to be really focused on the equipment if you're going to work out. But my takeaway is, again, you got to just look at your own reflection in the mirror. And if you're in a toxic relationship, you got to figure out what it is about you that's causing you to be in that relationship.
Absolutely. Rhonda, what's your takeaway for tonight?
You can't be for everybody. And everybody.
That's on your shirt.
Can't be for you. And the quicker and sooner you learn that, the better. But I also know, like you said earlier, JB, in the call, that we all have to go through things for ourselves sometime and not take the advice of others to go through it yourself, but go through it quickly. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And y'all know my takeaway. Stay in it. Stay in it. Stay in it. Because let me tell y'all this. Some of y'all only learn when you hit brick walls. Keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. For you, the toxic relationship is the only way you are going to learn that compatibility is a lot better than toxicity. And what you're going to find is that physical doesn't last, but compatibility always lasts. There's always compatibility. Toxicity, keep hitting your brick wall. Eventually, you're going to hate the feeling. And that's just a part of the growth process. Last podcast, Rhonda said, either I'm winning or I'm learning. Your guys' toxic relationship is your way of learning. So keep hitting that brick wall. Y'all, when y'all listen to this podcast together, look at each other and say, look, let's keep giving it a shot till we just know, and I know that this thing ain't going to work. Because what will happen is some of y'all got to go down that road and realize that it's a dead end so that you can get out of it if you want to, or you'll just keep plowing and plowing and plowing. And man, y'all know what it is. It's the Smoke Something, Drink Something podcast. I'm the Real Cigar Jeff. You can find me on Instagram at the Real Cigar Jeff. You can find me on Facebook at Smoke Something, Drink Something podcast. Of course, you're on YouTube, man. If you haven't already yet, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on that bell for notifications, man, and make sure y'all put the comments on. Big J, where can they find you on Instagram again?
Oh, yeah. And just like Jeff said, everything he said, but Big J the Barber. Big J the Barber.
Jay ready to end this thing right now.
BIGJAY. Everything that Jeff said, like, subscribe, whatever you want to do, comment, all the above. Big J the Barber.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. TLC, where can they find you on your social?
I'm on Instagram, TL Clay #1.
Man, y'all make sure y'all go check him out, man. He just did a stand-up comedy thing, man. I got it on my story, so y'all go check it out. Rhonda, where can they find you on your socials? Man, and y'all do me a favor, man. Look below in the description. Get the merch. Support the channel. Head on over there, too, to my Patreon page for that Get the Bag series that I'm doing. Sign up for that Eagle package, man. And until next time, we gon' holler.